Welcome to Soul Therapy with Chelle. I am Chelle Griffin and I practice as a soul doula. I combine therapeutic knowledge and lived experience with a healthy dose of spiritual exploration. Feel welcome to join me as we learn and grow together, exploring the magic and wonderment of experiencing life on earth as a spiritual being. And here we are together again. Welcome. Today's episode is quite pertinent, really. I am, as you know, live in South East Queensland, and we've had a cyclone watch happening for the last few days. And I just wanted to focus today on sharing ways in which we can support ourselves when in crisis. It's really easy to fall into the panic and the fear of potential impending doom and disaster. And, mainstream media is really good at amplifying that for all of us. And I know in our home we choose not to have like the nightly and morning news on or throughout the day. The adults in the house, if they want to keep up on current events, will take to checking news outlets on our phone. I personally, for my own mental health and stress levels, stopped following any news outlets online and through the TV many years ago. It just does not support my nervous system at all. I have no control over what's happening in the world. It's not that I am choosing to bury my head in the sand. I am just really aware that I need to focus on my community, my immediate family, and be of service in the best way that I can. And I know for myself that being inundated with tragedy and horror really activates my nervous system. And if it's events that I have absolutely no control over, and it doesn't impact my everyday life, then I obviously very aware of my own privilege in regards to that, like world events. But if my immediate everyday life is not impacted, then I opt out. And I find ways of being of service to the world at large in other ways that conducive to supporting myself and those around me. So that being said, with all the news that's been going on about Cyclone Alfred coming our way and potentially causing destruction and injury throughout southeast Queensland. So my kids' schools have been closed. My husband had to work from home for the whole week, and we were limited in where we could go, who we could see, etc. So we just made the conscious choice of just keeping our kids happy and regulated. We went about making arrangements for like prepping for when the cyclone was coming through, if it was going to impact our neck of the woods. And, the one thing we didn't go out and buy was toilet paper. But yes, we prepped. I started filling up like containers with water from our tanks because we're not on town water. So if we were to lose power, we don't have a pump to access water. So I was filling up containers with water and placing them in our chest freezer so that we would have huge ice blocks in the freezer to keep food cold for as long as possible, but also the option of defrosting those containers so we had drinking water. And just little measures of effort in preparation, moving, furniture off the deck that could potentially get caught up in high winds, tying things down and whatnot, making sure our cars were fueled, and making sure that we had a generator available if we did need power to keep our chest freezer or a fridge running, and potentially the water going. We had lots of LED candles on hand from recent celebrations, so that was all sorted and taken care of. And we just had conversations with the kids about how, we may not have power for a few days, but what food can we eat? What snacks would you like? And involved them in that so that it wasn't that big a deal, that they were, we weren't hiding anything from them, but we weren't, getting carried away in the panic of what could possibly come. And so we were on watch. We did go about our day. We played games and we had music going and just kept the tone quite light for everyone and pretended we were just having, a staycation at home for a few days. That being said, though, when we are in those times of crisis, it is very natural for our mind to start going into overdrive and thinking of all the worst case scenarios. And that, the mind can be a powerful thing. So it's an opportunity to really trick the mind, and so you can conserve your energy and stay really calm in the lead up. We may not have certainty of how something's going to unfold, but we can have control over how we respond to that. We can assess risks and have mitigations in place to support ourselves. We don't need to go all out and terrify ourselves with all the different scenarios, but just identifying the likelihood of what could be at play. Identifying, for us, it was, we knew which room of the house we would go to should we need to take shelter if the cyclone crossed our direct path, etc. But we didn't necessarily set the room up immediately. It was more like, okay, well, that's where we would go. This is what we would need. And if we get to that point, we know how to go ahead with that. And so that's a way of just supporting the nervous system of going, okay, I can feel the panic arising. What am I fearful about? Address those key elements and have a plan in place, and then reset and come back to that state of neutrality. Other ways in times of crisis, it is when we get so caught up in the worry and the stress and the anxiety of it that if an actual crisis occurs, we're so burnt out, we can't think straight, and we go into that heightened state of maybe we just freeze, shut down altogether, and we can't function. Whereas if we really choose to stay calm in the lead up and in preparation and really support our nervous system when it counts, if a tragedy or crisis does unfold, our body is armed and ready. It's ready for the adrenaline surge. It's ready to respond to the fight, flight, freeze. We're not already depleted before we've gotten started. So we can stay in control of ourselves and how we react and respond to the situation as it unfolds. So key ways to really support ourselves through these unfolding situations can be in so many different ways. The most obvious is through breathwork, just simple It's free, it's available 24/7. Just come back into our breath. And I know I harp on this over and over, and you will hear me repeating messages throughout these episodes because that's how we retain that information. If we hear it often enough, it lands at the right time. So breath work is a really good way of just supporting your nervous system and coming back into a state of regulation. Just simple box breath. Inhale for 4, pause for 4. Exhale for 4, pause for 4. And you're just going, imagine slowly going around in a box. And, within a couple of minutes of doing that, you'll really notice that your heart rate settles down. Your breath can get deeper and deeper and really settle that nervous system. There's also other ways that you can support your nervous system in times of uncertainty. It doesn't have to be going into a full-blown panic. It could be you've got a big meeting at work coming up and you notice your anxiety or your stress levels are rising and you're starting to feel a bit panicked about how it's all going to go. Acknowledge your emotions. Speak it out loud, write it down, share it with someone you feel safe with. Just simply putting air and speaking that, I'm feeling really worried about this cyclone. I'm just not sure where to begin, what I'm going to do. It's really starting to make me feel unsettled. Just sharing that out loud can just in itself dissipate. Because when you hear, you go, actually, is this so bad? Okay, I can deal with that in this way or this way. It creates space. You've released it from your body. Writing it down allows you to see in front of you, and then you can go, okay, I've got some ideas on how I can support myself through this. Speaking your fears and worries to a trusted friend or family member is a way of getting feedback, and they can go, oh, have you thought of doing this, or what about that, or offering you support in, I can hear that you're really nervous about this, tell me more about that, or I can see that, you look really jittery right now, can I make you a cup of tea? Just little ways of releasing that from your body, that stress and worry. Another way is challenge your mind. Turn it back within and really question the reality of your situation. Yes, you're seeing, like in us, we could see on the radar that this thing was tracking straight towards us, but it was still a few hundred kilometers off the coast. It was stalling a few times. We were going into like a waiting pattern. We didn't know what was going to happen. That can often really amplify and elongate the worry of what's going on. But challenge our mind. Is this really likely to happen? What's the probability of this outcome? Yes, we could have really strong winds, heavy rain. We live on a hill. We're in a fairly new home. It's structured and meets the requirements for a certain level of high winds and cyclonic behaviour, where we've got power at the moment, we've got a fridge, we've got food enough to supply us for a week or more. We're supporting ourselves with having drinking water to access if we don't have power. We're indoors, we're safe, we're protected. Then really look at, like, is this rational? Are my fears and worries actually, in all likelihood, rational? Are they going to play out? Will this situation unfold? Has this happened to me before? How did I respond? I have choice around how I respond this time. And what's the worst that can happen? If I can imagine the worst, what's my mitigation strategy for that? How am I going to ensure that the least amount of impact happens? Nature, we can't control nature. We don't know what's coming, but we can best support ourselves and brace ourselves to be ready and respond to the reality as it unfolds. It's the lead up to these situations that can cause the most anxiety and uncertainty and activate, anger and shortness of breath and snappiness to our loved ones, recognizing that, okay, the kids are acting up. They can feel the energy in the air. They're picking up that this is not our usual routine. So they're responding to the energy. We can have a choice in how we respond back to them and how we react. Calming things down, distraction, going for a walk or a run, really being able to release that pent-up energy. Go for a vigorous run on the spot, run the end of the driveway, run around the block if you can. Just really support yourself to have physical release of that built up of energy. Dance it out, crank up the music. This one's great with the kids if you need them to pivot out of a bad mood. It works from like toddlers to teens. It really is effective. Crank the music up and just dance it out. It's infectious. They will not be able to resist. Like, I sing really badly, and so it ends up being just a laugh fest because I'm looking like a total fool dancing around and singing, and it just settles everyone and brings that sort of energy back down. Other ways you can really calm yourself is just sit quietly and visualize the most calming scene you can imagine. Where is your safe place? Just imagine you're there. Take yourself there energetically and just spend 5 or 10 minutes just quietly going into that spot and calming that nervous system right down. Invite the kids to do the same. You can download a guided meditation or guide them yourself. I'll often just, when one of my kids is having a hard time, lie down with them and take them into a safe space where they can release what's worrying them, hand over the worry to their guides, their angels and crossed over loved ones, and hand that over and just say, this is becoming too much for me to hold. Can you take care of the how? And just trust and have faith that that's supported. And that's just, settling the nervous system again, regulating the body back into that really safe sense of calm and well-being. Create a supportive mantra. Like, I feel like I've been texting people of late, just go, you've got this. It's something I need to let myself know. You've got this, Chelle. We've all got this. Or I am safe. I am loved. I am held. I can get through the hard stuff. Just find a little mantra that you repeat. Write it up on your mirror in your bathroom. Just any way to support yourself to get through it. Pivot, change your focus. If you notice things are getting really hairy and you haven't danced it out yet, or just distraction is a beautiful thing, and it's an easy and quick fix. I've been playing board games over the last few days, and it's inspired the kids to go through all our games and dragging different games out and going, oh my God, we forgot we had this one. We love this one. It's such a wonderful way to while away the hours when you're feeling a little bit housebound and like it might be too wet to go outside, or you don't know if the roads are safe to drive on. You don't know, like nothing's opened. So it's just we'd get down and while away a couple of hours playing one of our favourite games, and that just lifts everyone's spirits, and it's a beautiful distraction. We don't have any news on, no radio or TV going in the background. We're checking outside visually and reading the weather that way, and then we allow ourselves to check in for updates as we feel to, without need for a constant watch. So just choosing to change your focus, come back to just keeping things simple and fun, and calm. Another way to support yourself is through acupressure, like the inside of your arm. If you've got where the crease folds, just apply a bit of pressure from your thumb, and that's just a really easy way, an instant way to start to calm your body down. It's just a pressure point in the body, and I'm already just feeling like, oh, I feel good. I feel good. Even the kookaburras, they've just started up and they're like, yeah, you know it. You're good. So that's a great way. And that's something like you can do if you're at work and you're in a meeting. You can do that within the meeting just to keep yourself centered and focused. Other ways you can support yourself: changing temperature, cold shower, hot heat pack, a warm bath, getting out in fresh air, just little quick fixes that can be a distraction for the mind and allow you to really just check out of the moment that you're in. It's not altering, not a distraction in a way of keeping you out of awareness. It's just pivoting your presence elsewhere, so that you can trick your mind and take you out of that state of fear. Burning some aromatherapy oil, get a diffuser or put a few drops inside your wrist on your temples. Lavender, geranium, ginger, lemon, bergamot. They're really good for calming and reducing stress and anxiety, and just a really simple way. Even just put some in a little atomizer with some filtered water and a bit of jojoba oil or almond oil mixed in, and create a mist. Spray around yourself, spray the kids, they'll love it. It's fresh and it will rejuvenate them. Spray their pillows, and that's a really good way of calming everyone down. Snuggle with a pet. Who doesn't love a cuddle with a pooch? Like, our fur babies are so good at regulating. They're better than a heat back. They just let them come in for a snuggle, and you'll really notice that your nervous system will just totally calm down. And of course, professional support. Book a session with your therapist, whether it's me or someone else, it doesn't matter. Just support yourself and know that you have a backup plan to go to, so that things don't get too overwhelming that you need a higher level of support. Maintenance, like we maintain our cars, we book our car in for a service. Why don't we book ourselves in for regular therapy to support our mental health and our well-being? It's essential. So there's lots of ways we can just calm ourselves in a crisis, and any time really. These can be daily practices. I rely on a lot of them for my day-to-day mindful living, intentionally and consciously living in this world that is so driven by stories of tragedy and drama and discourse. So bring in the light, find ways to really light up your life. We've talked about creating a life you live. This is a way of releasing that stress and fear and anxiety. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its place, but don't let that control you. how you respond to these moments of, impending doom. Choose, is it really impending doom, or is this nature just playing out? Who knows? Who knows what's going on? But just trusting that you've got the skills, you've got support, and you can face anything that comes your way. So in the meantime, I hope this has been really helpful for you. I'd love to hear any tips that how you've supported yourself. Have you experienced Cyclone Alfred? Have you experienced other natural disasters or tragedies in your life? How have you best supported yourself to get through that experience and be here smiling on the other side? For us, we did a couple of collective meditations, visualizing, energetically pushing the cyclone away. And as it turns out, we haven't had more than, a couple of hours of stronger winds last night, a bit of rain today. They're saying there's more rain to come. I know further south has been impacted. I've got loved ones and family members that are without power, with some trees uprooted, but there hasn't been the destruction that we've been told was coming for the last several days. So let's hope that that's all dissipated, that everyone's safe and protected, and we can resume normal programming. But in the meantime, take care and go gently. Thank you for showing up for yourself by listening to Soul Therapy with Chelle. Feel welcome to subscribe to my podcast, share the pod with your friends, family, colleagues and neighbours, and please, if you are willing, I would absolutely love a 5-star review to give my little pod a boost in the algorithms. For further detail on how to work with me, please visit my website www.chellegriffin.com or find me on the socials. I hope you'll join me on my next episode. Till then, go gently and intentionally. With care, Chelle.